Welcome back to Breakfast with Bob, Boston Marathon Edition. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're presented by Hyland's Leg Cramps. Stop the cramps, not your race. And the NormaTec Pulse Recovery System. My guest, the beautiful Jami Marseilles. How are you?
I'm great, Bob. Thanks for having me this morning.
You know what? I'm excited that you are trying to become the first double baloney amputee to do the Boston Marathon. When did that come into your head? Because I know you as a sprinter.
Yeah.
Right? From the Adidas commercials back in the day, and to see you go from 100 meters to 26.2, that's a different gig.
It's a hugely different gig. So in 2000, when I didn't make the Paralympic team, it was time to change things. And
Yes.
that's when I started running distance.
Yeah.
So I've run 5 half marathons and the only bilateral woman in the world to run 5 half marathons.
Yes.
And then, this crazy endurance world that we live in, I've had some of my wonderful friends push me to try a marathon. And I figured they were a little crazy, but they were right. It's been an incredible journey, and I ran my first full marathon last October, and that got me in the books as the only bilateral woman to run a full marathon.
Which marathon did you do?
I ran Chicago.
Okay.
And that qualified me for Boston. I had to qualify to get into Boston, and here I am running Boston on Monday.
I love it. For people who don't know your backstory, 1988, ski trip, and what I tell people all the time with some of the athletes from Challenge Athletes Foundation, so many of the things are just so random. Here you are coming home from a ski trip, and you get caught in a snowstorm, and you were abandoned for 11 days?
Yeah, I was a sophomore in college driving home from a ski trip. And
19 years old?
Yeah, 19 years old with another girlfriend, and people get lost every day. I mean, you make a wrong turn, it happens all the time.
Right.
And unfortunately for us, we wound up on a desolate road that got closed after our car got stuck. And we wound up living in our car for 11 days.
11 days. And the thing that always hits me is your parents are calling the police.
Oh, yes.
And the police are saying, oh, she probably ran. Like they're coming to a judgment saying she probably ran away from home rather than immediately getting out there and looking for you.
Absolutely. I think that was one of the hardest factors for my parents is they knew I didn't run away. We were going to Mexico on Friday.
Yes.
Why am I going to run away? At least, go on the family vacation first. But being 19 and my girlfriend being 18, and it was also Christmas time.
Yes.
So we all know how the world tends to shut down around that time of the year.
Right. So after you were saved, and only randomly some guy on a snowmobile with his son ended up finding you out there.
Yes.
What were your injuries?
I had frostbite on all my extremities. So I had frostbite on my hands, nose, ears, and feet. And when we were initially saved, they started talking to my parents about amputation immediately, but not me because they wanted to keep my spirits up. And here I am alive. And the treatment started to work, and everything came back, hands, ears, nose. Yes. But my feet, unfortunately, got really sick and contracted a disease called gangrene. And from that's when they started talking to me about amputation.
How hard was that as a 19-year-old girl?
It was the hardest decision I had to make. But I knew that my body was getting sick from this disease. And I was supposed to be getting better. I'm in the hospital. I'm now saved from that tremendous ordeal living in the car. I need to get healthy. And if one of those decisions to get healthy was having my legs amputated, I signed the paperwork and said, please do it.
What's interesting is when you make a decision like that, and nowadays when you talk to kids, because they've seen, kids who are amputees have seen so many other kids with their Spider-Man legs, and legs are, I remember one parent was telling me that her daughter told me that she couldn't play with the able-bodied kids because she didn't have a magic leg like they had. Back in your era, amputees were covering up their legs. How hard was it for you to embrace the new you?
Yeah, that's a great question because I was 19 years old. So what's important? I want to go dancing with my friends. I want to wear high heels.
I want to look good.
I want to look good. Yeah. I want to fit back into what society perceives to be normal.
Right.
But I knew, like I said, my body was sick, so I had to agree to the amputation. And with the support of my friends and my family, I went back to college, and life was good. But I never met another amputee. I went through some therapy, and I was just very grateful to be alive. And that's what I tended to focus on. So at this point, I never knew another amputee.
Really?
No, I didn't know anyone. And I wore my legs with the cosmetic cover. I didn't have these gorgeous robot legs that I love to wear now.
Yes.
Because I wanted to be part of what society felt was important.
Right.
And I learned that didn't matter. It came from within. I needed to be comfortable with who I am. And that really started in 1997 when I went to my first amputee track race.
So that, and all of a sudden you're seeing all these other people who are missing legs.
Oh yeah, I show up at this track race and nobody cares what your legs look like because there's body parts all over the track. Arms, legs, with a cover, without a cover. I mean, that's an image that I have forever because
Yes.
it really was a pivotal point in my life because I realized the joy and the love that these athletes shared for each other was something I wanted to be a part of.
And the cool part was, only thing that mattered was how fast you could go.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. And I was fast then. I ran track and I set some world records and I was fast.
Well, talk some of your times.
Yeah, so I set a world record in the 100-meter sprint at 16.88. And, but like any sport, there's always some young whippersnapper.
Oh,
I
yeah.
sound like my grandpa, comes along. But I'm very proud that I was part of the Paralympic movement in the late 90s. And I feel like I blazed the trail for
No
quite
question.
a few people to realize that you can do this. You can push your body to extenuating opportunities with your mental capacity, meaning that your brain is pretty strong. If you tell yourself you're going to do it, you
Yeah.
can find the will and the strength to do it.
One of the commercials that I think was groundbreaking
Yes.
was the one that Adidas did with you.
Yes.
And what I love, I still have that mental image in my
Thank you,
head
yeah.
of they show you from the waist up.
Yes.
Right? And you're sprinting and you can tell how hard you're working, and then the camera pans down to finally reveal the legs later on.
Right.
How much response did you get on that?
Oh my gosh, going back to when we filmed that, I'll never forget, I'm going to make a commercial. Well, I'm a girl. Well, where's my makeup? Where's my outfit? What am I saying?
Right.
And Adidas was so calm and just said, well, there's no words and limited makeup and here's some workout clothes. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, okay, they're the artist. I'm going to trust them.
Yes.
And it was so powerful because the message had no words, but it spoke to millions. And I really believe, like you said, it was groundbreaking because it showed the world that it doesn't matter what's on the bottom. If you want to run, you can do it.
You can see the effort. Right?
You can see the effort.
Right.
Yeah, and and the tagline for the event at that point was "Long live sport." And it kind of is a reflection too of what Nike likes to say is if you have a body, you are an athlete.
Right.
And I think they're very closely related. If you have a body, you can use it and be any kind of athlete.
I know you have also been really, really instrumental in helping other people who are going through trauma, who lose a leg, or in a particular case, Celeste Corcoran.
Yes.
Celeste Corcoran lost her legs here in Boston in 2013.
Yes.
And
3 years ago today. Today
Was
is
it 3 years ago
today?
today? Oh, my
today
God.
is I think they call it One Boston.
Wow.
So today they like to celebrate the survivors and show the community how they've come together as one city to show the world how strong Boston is.
And I heard there's like 30 Boston survivors who are participating in some way, shape, or form in the event on Monday. But with Celeste, I mean, we have the Challenge Athletes Foundation, and myself or other people can go and talk to athletes talk to people who lose a limb. But having someone like yourself, who's a double below-knee amputee, who's lived through it, right, from a young age, how that relationship with Celeste became very powerful.
It became immensely powerful. I'm actually staying with her family right now here in Boston,
Yes.
the Boston area. But it's ironic because now she's become such an important part of my life, and she guides me and motivates me almost
Really?
on a daily basis. Absolutely. I mean, I like to share, she gave me this bracelet 2 years ago when I was here, and it says Boston Strong on it.
Yes.
And I wear it every day. I mean, I look down at this bracelet when I'm having a rough day and my legs hurt, they itch, they're uncomfortable. I mean, life happens, but I know I have that Boston Strong behind me. And, going back to when I first became her mentor through the Challenge Athletes Foundation and made that connection, I gave her a lot of tough love, which is what my family did for me. And I didn't know this woman. This
Right.
was a phone conversation.
And it's over phone. She doesn't really know you.
No, but this is the first time we met, and I just really tried to implore to her how important life was. And again, crying, the emotions, the flood of feelings that we had for each other from the beginning has really bonded us. But I feel like I was saved on that mountain 28 years ago to be here to provide people like Celeste help, guidance, motivation, and any others in the world, because even without prosthetics, you want to make those changes to activate a healthy lifestyle. And sometimes it's hard to do that first step. And I hope that my story and running the Boston Marathon can help you find that will from within to want to make a difference for yourself.
What's it going to feel like to come across? Because you've done a marathon, but
Yeah.
this is Boston.
This is Boston.
What do you think that's going to feel like along the way and then across the finish line?
Well, I did a really great interview this morning, and we were out on Copley Square and seeing the effect that my prosthetics had, and I changed and put my running legs on right there and ran a little bit, and the emotions and the support I got just from people walking around, it just got me so excited. And I know with the crowd and the support and the energy on the course, that's what is gonna push me to get across that finish line. Because like you said, this is Boston. I mean, I am making history. This is the 120th running of the Boston Marathon. And here I am, so blessed to have my life and start on Monday and share my story along the race.
I love that.
Yeah.
Jami, thanks for everything you do, not just for Challenge Athletes Foundation, but just for someone like Celeste. And I love the fact that you guys have become more than just acquaintances, that you are friends for life.
We're soul sisters. I mean, we go back to her daughter, Sydney, who was also hurt tragically in the bombing, has been a great support for my daughter. My daughter's named Sydney. And you know, that's not something you can plan.
No.
It's just the life journey that takes you on. And we have all these connections. And spending time at her house this week, we got Big Sydney and Little Sydney.
Yes.
And man, they're a lot alike.
Is that right?
They really are. And it's been a really beautiful experience to share my life with them. And I believe that we've come into each other's life for so many blessings. And this is just the beginning of our life's journey together.
Jami Marseilles has been our guest. You are the absolute best, as always.
Thank you, Bob. Great to be here.
Again, we are brought to you by Hyland's Leg Cramps. Stop the cramps, not your race. And the NormaTec Pulse Recovery System, the 120th running of the Boston Marathon. This is Breakfast with Bob. Hold on. We'll be right back.